This is not a how-to video. This is how I use TurboTax to sell a rental property. I am using the same numbers as those in a popular TurboTax video on selling rental property with the 2022 desktop version. Look in the Business tab for the Rental section. I'll choose what I want to work on. Do you want to review? Yes. We are not a real estate professional, and we're going to click Edit to review our rental summary. We will enter this as a rental property, including the property description and property address. For this scenario, we will enter rental as single family. Here we're going to report that this property was sold or disposed of in 2022. You can also click Learn More for the on-demand tax guidance. Was this property rented for all of 2022? There's a note here that says if you only own the property part of the year, then let us know if it was rented the entire time you owned it. We're going to say yes, and it was also rented at a fair price. In this scenario, we owned 100% of the property and will say yes to actively participating, as this will not affect the scenario since we are not incurring a loss. We did not pay anyone $600 or more for work related to this property. We're going to enter my rental info myself. This property is not in any of these designated areas. Using the same values from a popular TurboTax rental sale video on YouTube, we'll enter $2,000 for rental income, $500 worth of expenses, no mortgage interest to report, no any other interest paid, and we did not refinance. Next, we will enter the sale of the asset. I'm going to proceed directly to the asset summary. Here is the rental depreciation allowable based on what we've entered so far. Here we select Edit because earlier we told the program that we stopped using this asset. For the cost basis in this scenario, we are using $400,000 as the total. For this scenario, the land value has a value of $80,000. You can find the land value on your property tax statement or other value assessment document you received when you purchased your home. Switching to Forms mode, we can view the asset entry worksheet, which includes the description, acquisition date, service placement, and total acquisition costs. If the asset is residential, code I, remember to include the land value, a common mistake. Tell us more about this asset. For this scenario, we purchased the asset and then we sold this asset, and the date we sold it was January 31st, 2022. And we've always used this asset for business, and the date we started using it for business is January 1st, 2015. Confirm your prior depreciation, noting the net cost excluding land is $320,000. The depreciation basis is also $320,000. Using straight line mid-month for 27.5 years, prior depreciation is $80,968, and the current depreciation for 2022 tax year is $485. Depreciation can be calculated in various ways, and while I manually verify it, careful attention to rounding is essential. In this simple scenario, no special handling is needed. In a popular TurboTax sale rental YouTube video, this was incorrectly answered. For a sale involving land, the sales price and the expenses must be allocated between the land and the improvement portion of the property. This allocation won't populate if you select yes to special handling. For this scenario, I am selecting no for special handling. Was this asset included in the sale of your main home? I plan to make other videos with more complicated scenarios, including sale of your home used as a rental, but for this scenario, we will say no. Instructions for Form 4797. Depreciable property and other property disposed of in the same transaction. Based on the original purchase price of $400,000 and $80,000 of that is land which cannot be depreciated, the asset to land value ratio will be 20%. Please monitor the federal refund closely as we enter the information on this page. The rental portion of the sale is reported as a sale of business property. TurboTax automatically transfers the sale to the proper forms for you. This is creating Form 4797, Sales of Business Property in Real Time, with Part 1 pertaining to land sale and Part 3 to the asset sale. Did you use this rental property as your personal residence? Did you report this sale using the installment method? Your gain from this asset will be separated from the gain from the land. Any other situations? Net profit on this property is $1,015. For simplicity, we are not going to take the qualified business income deduction for this rental scenario. Here's the total amount of sales of business property you've entered so far. Now let's take a look at the forms, starting with the asset worksheet. Total cost of the asset when acquired was $400,000. Percentage of business use is 100%, and total amount of land included in the cost was $80,000. Prior depreciation of $80,968, and this year's deduction for depreciation is $485. Dates sold January 31st, 2022 for an asset sales price of $560,000. The asset expense of sale was $32,800, and the property type is real property, Section 1250. The land sales price of $140,000 and the land expense of sale is $8,200. The gain that goes on Part 3 of Form 4797 is $288,653, and the land gain, which goes on Part 1 4797, is $51,800. An unrecaptured Section 1250 gain is an income tax provision designed to recapture the portion of a gain related to previously used depreciation allowances. It is only applicable to the sale of depreciable real estate. This worksheet accumulates the unrecaptured Section 1250 gain to be reported on Schedule D, line 19. For this scenario, Form 4797, page 1 will be used to report the land sale, and Form 4797, page 2 will be used to report the sale of the asset. Page 2 of Form 4797, gross sales price of $560,000, cost plus expense of sales $352,800 minus depreciation allowed or allowable of $81,453. The adjusted basis is $271,347, and the total gain here for this scenario is $288,653. Schedule D has a gain of $288,653 on the asset, $51,800 gain on the land, both of long term, total $340,453, and the $81,453 of unrecaptured Section 1250 gain from the worksheet is included in the total capital gain on Schedule D. This video covered the very limited scope of one rental sold. I ended this video with a screenshot of some of the forms used, consolidated into one snapshot. As always, critiques and discussions are welcomed.